Admiral Park stood before the 37 alien representatives in the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council. The massive room gleamed with polished stone from 100 worlds. Soft blue light fell from floating orbs above. Park's face showed no feeling, but his hands gripped the speaker's stand tightly. For the 12th time, Earth brings proof of Proximan attacks at the galaxy's edge, Park said. His deep voice carried across the hall. 3 of our colony worlds have gone silent. Survey ships have vanished. The pattern is clear. Diplomat Kim sat nearby, watching the aliens react. She had seen this before. The jellyfish-like floatians waved their tentacles in doubt. The insect-shaped Chitauri clicked their mouthparts to show they disagreed. High Counselor Vex of the Lumidians spoke. His body glowed softly as light pulsed through his transparent form. Earth keeps pushing war talk. The Proximans have done nothing wrong. Perhaps your colonies just have broken communicators. Kim stood up quickly. She could not stay quiet any longer. Broken communicators that happen at the exact same time as strange energy readings that match Proximan technology? She touched a button that showed the data on the big screen in the center of the hall. We've shared this information for months. You choose not to see the danger. Humans, sighed Representative Moole of the blue-skinned Aquarians, always seeing threats where none exist. Admiral Park stepped forward again. This is our final warning. Earth will not wait while you ignore a real danger. Deal with this threat now, or humanity leaves the Council. The hall erupted in noise, as translation devices worked to keep up with the shocked outbursts. No species had ever threatened to leave the Council in its 8,000 years. That evening, in Earth's embassy rooms, Kim walked back and forth while Park sat still, looking at the final message from their home planet. Every leader on Earth voted the same way, she said quietly. We leave the Council tomorrow. Park nodded slowly. They will understand too late. The next morning, as Earth's group packed their things, an aide rushed in. Admiral, urgent message. From Colony World Theta 9. Park took the datapad. His face darkened as he read. It's begun. A massive fleet of unknown ships has appeared at the edge of human space. Kim looked over his shoulder at the grainy images. Unknown to the Council, perhaps. But we know what they are. Park turned to his team. Send word to Earth. The Proximan invasion has started. As they left the Council building for the last time, aliens from many worlds watched in silence. Some looked angry, others confused. A few seemed afraid. They still don't believe us, Kim said. They will. Park replied grimly. Soon enough. 2 days later, on the Earth defense ship Steadfast, Kim watched the stars through a viewing window as they traveled at faster-than-light speed toward home. Officer Lee approached with a datapad. Reports coming in from across the sector. The Proximans aren't just targeting human worlds. Kim took the pad and read quickly. 3 Council worlds under attack, so soon. The Proximans were waiting for us to leave, Lee said. They've had spies in the Council. They knew exactly when to strike. The ship's communication system beeped. A message from the Council was coming through. On the screen appeared High Counselor Vex, his glow much dimmer than before. Diplomat Kim, Vex said, his voice translator sounding stressed. The Council requests Earth's immediate return. We have situation developments to discuss. You mean the Proximan attacks? Kim asked coldly. The very attacks we warned you about? There have been incidents, Vex admitted. But we need to study the situation further before. While you study, people die, Kim cut him off. The Council had its chance to act. Earth stands alone now. As she ended the call, Admiral Park entered the room. Not quite alone, he said. I've received messages from 5 other species. They believe us now. They want to form a coalition outside. Council control. The Council is already falling apart, Kim observed. Good, Park said. Something stronger must take its place if we're going to survive what's coming. The ship's alarm suddenly blared. Captain Han's voice came over the speakers. All crew to battle stations. Proximan war vessels detected ahead. Park and Kim rushed to the bridge. Through the main viewport, They saw the twisted shapes of Proximan ships blocking their path home. They're trying to cut Earth off from its colonies, Park said. Classic divide and conquer. Han looked at the Admiral. Orders, sir? Park's eyes narrowed. Show them why it was a mistake to attack humanity first. As the steadfast weapons powered up, Kim thought about the Council aliens who had dismissed their warnings. She wondered how many would survive to Taoi, admit they were wrong. The first shots flashed across space and the battle for Earth's future began. 6 months had passed since Earth left the Galactic Council. Diplomat Kim stood on the main deck of the Earth defense ship Steadfast, watching the stars. The ship hummed with activity as crew members rushed to their posts. A fleet of small ships appeared on the long-range scanners. More refugees, said Commander Lee, joining Kim at the window. Third group this week. The ships looked damaged. Their hulls showed burn marks from Proximan weapons. Kim sighed heavily. Which world fell this time? Lumidian colony on Vega 6, Lee replied. Same story as the others. Communications cut off suddenly. Then the Proximan ships arrived. Few escaped. Kim turned away from the window. And what did the Council do? They sent a strongly worded message, Lee said with a bitter smile, then formed a committee to study the situation. The door slid open, and Admiral Park entered. His uniform looked wrinkled, his eyes tired from lack of sleep. The Arcturian ambassador has arrived. Their homeworld voted to leave the Council this morning. How many does that make now? Kim asked. 7 species have officially left, Park replied. More will follow soon. The Council is breaking apart exactly as we predicted. In the meeting room, Ambassador Tool of the Arcturians waited. His gray skin glistened under the lights, 4 arms folded across his chest in the traditional greeting pose. Earth was right, Tool said without preamble. We should have listened sooner. The Proximans have taken 3 of our outer worlds already. And now you want our help, Kim said. We need each other, Tool replied. Arcturians have advanced shield technology, but our weapons are weak. Earth has the strongest warships, but your planet needs allies. Admiral Park nodded slowly. That's why we're building a coalition. Species who understand the real threat. Species willing to fight back. Later that day, Kim sat with Intelligence Officer Choi as he showed her his latest discovery. On his screen, years of Council records scrolled past. I found a pattern, Choi explained. Every time Earth proposed stronger defenses at the galaxy's edge, the motion was blocked. Always by different species, but always using similar arguments. That's just Council politics, Kim said. No, look closer. Choi highlighted several names. These Council representatives who opposed us most strongly, all of them visited the same remote space station in the months before key votes. A station later found to have Proximan technology. Kim's eyes widened. They were being controlled? Or bribed or threatened, Choi said. The Proximans have been planning this for decades. They deliberately kept the Council weak and divided. On the bridge of the Steadfast, Admiral Park received reports from across the galaxy. Proximan forces had been spotted in 12 systems. The Council's response remained slow and ineffective. They still don't understand, Park told Kim when she joined him. The Proximans aren't just taking territory. They're following a plan to break all resistance before it can form. A communication officer called out, Admiral, emergency transmission from Earth. The main screen lit up. General Min's face appeared, smoke visible behind him. Proximan fleet. In the Sol system. They bypassed our outer defenses somehow. Fighting near Mars orbit now. We're 3 days away at maximum speed, Park said, his face pale. Hold them off, General. We'll do our best, Min replied before the connection broke. Park turned to the bridge crew. Set course for Earth, emergency speed. Then to Kim. Send word to all coalition members. The Proximans are striking at our heart. Kim rushed to the communication station. As she worked, Officer Lee approached with a datapad. New intelligence. From the Arcturians. They decoded a Proximan transmission. There's something you need to see. The data showed Proximan battle plans. Their main fleet was indeed heading for Earth, but smaller forces targeted specific planets across the galaxy. They're attacking all species with strong military traditions, Kim realized. Anyone who might help us. Lee pointed to another part of the data. And look at this. The Proximans have different invasion protocols for different species. Detailed. Information about weaknesses, psychology, even genetic vulnerabilities. How could they know so much? Kim wondered. They've had spies in the Council for years, Lee said. While we shared knowledge openly, they collected it for war. As the Steadfast raced toward Earth, coalition ships from 7 species joined them. A small fleet against the Proximan armada. In his quarters, Admiral Park studied tactical displays. The odds looked bad. Very bad. Kim entered quietly. The last reports from Earth say our forces are holding, but barely. Park nodded without looking up. The Proximans thought the galaxy would be easy to conquer once humanity was isolated. They didn't expect us to form a coalition so quickly. Will it be enough? Kim asked. Park finally looked at her, determination in his eyes. It has to be, because if Earth falls, the rest of the galaxy follows. Captain Han stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant looking at the stars beyond the view screen. His ship floated silently in space, hidden behind a small moon. 4 other human ships waited nearby, engines cold to avoid detection. Status report, Han said quietly. Officer Rim checked her console. Proximan Station still shows no signs they've spotted us. Their patrol ships are on the far side of the planet, exactly 14 minutes away at their standard speed. Han nodded. 1 year into the war, humanity had learned much about how Proximans operated. They were powerful but predictable. They followed strict patterns and rarely changed their tactics. Humans, however, changed their approach constantly. All ships prepare for attack pattern Sigma, Han ordered. Remember the plan. Hit fast, grab what we need, and get out before their patrols return. The 5 human ships powered up simultaneously and shot from behind the moon. They moved in perfect coordination, each taking a different approach vector. The Proximan Station's defenses activated, but too late. The human vessels were already too close. Target their communication array and sensor grid, Han commanded. Boarding teams ready! The Defiant shuddered as it connected to the station's hull. 20 soldiers in spacesuits rushed through the airlock. Leading them was Major Song, her plasma rifle ready. 14 minutes until patrol returns, Han reminded her through the comm. We'll be done in 10, Song replied confidently. Inside the station, the team moved quickly through curved corridors. 2 Proximan guards appeared, their scaled bodies glistening under the lights. Song's team took them down before they could raise an alarm. This way, said tech specialist Juan, checking a small device. The main control room should be through that door. The team secured the room in seconds. One immediately began downloading data while others gathered Proximan technology. This raid, like dozens before it, had a specific purpose: to learn everything possible about the enemy. Found something interesting, one called out. This isn't just a relay station. It's housing some kind of special transmission equipment. Grab it, Song ordered. 7 minutes left. Back on the Defiant, Han watched the timer counting down. Major, status update? Heading back now, Song replied. Mission successful. Daini Yao. Human ships detached from the station. Just as alarms began blaring, they jumped to lightspeed moments before the Proximan patrol returned. 3 days later, at the Coalition headquarters on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, Dr. Yoon examined the captured Proximan device. Her lab was filled with alien technology collected from similar raids. This is remarkable, she told Admiral Park and Diplomat Kim. It's not just a communication system, it's a psychic amplifier. A what? Park asked, leaning closer. The Proximans use it to influence other species, Yoon explained. It sends signals that affect brain patterns. It can create suggestions, manipulate emotions, even directly control some beings. Kim's eyes widened. That explains why the Council ignored our warnings. They were being manipulated. Yoon nodded. Exactly. But here's the interesting part. It doesn't work well on humans. Why not? Park asked. Our brains process information differently, Yoon said. especially emotional signals. Human brain patterns are more chaotic, less predictable. We naturally resist their influence. This discovery changed everything. It explained the Council's irrational behavior and gave the Coalition a new weapon. Dr. Yoon began working on devices to protect other species from Proximan control. Meanwhile, the war continued. Captain Han's ship joined a larger fleet attacking a Proximan supply base. The Coalition now included 12 former Council species, all fighting together under Earth's leadership. Enemy ships approaching, Officer Rim reported. Standard Proximan. Formation? Han smiled slightly. Let's try the new tactic, break formation on my mark. The human ship suddenly scattered in all directions, confusing the Proximan targeting systems. They attacked from unexpected angles, using the nearby asteroid field for cover. In the command center on Europa, Admiral Park watched the battle through data feeds. The Proximans still don't adapt, he observed. They keep using the same approaches even when they fail. That's their weakness, Kim replied. They've dominated for so long they never needed to change. Humanity has always had to adapt to survive. As more victories came, more species joined the Coalition. Earth's reputation grew. Humans were now seen as leaders and innovators, not just the angry species that had left the Council. Dr. Yoon's work produced another breakthrough. By studying Proximan biology, she discovered vulnerabilities in their sensory systems. New weapons were developed that targeted these weaknesses. Project Dawn is ready, Park announced to the Coalition leadership. We can now protect our allies from Proximan control and exploit their biological weaknesses. For the first time, we have a real chance to push them back. Hope spread across the galaxy. Species that had lived in fear began to fight back. The tide of war was turning, all because humanity had chosen to stand alone and then taught others to stand with them. In his quarters, Captain Han studied the next mission plan. Another raid, even deeper in enemy territory. The risks were high, but so were the potential rewards. As he prepared, a message arrived from Admiral Park. New intelligence suggests the Proximans are planning something big, it read. Be extremely careful out there. Han didn't know it yet, but the most dangerous phase of the war was about to begin. The Coalition Command Center on Europa buzzed with activity. Officers moved quickly between stations, checking data streams from across the galaxy. Admiral Park stood in the center, studying the large tactical display. Red markers showed Proximan forces advancing in 3 sectors. Suddenly, Lieutenant Kang called out, Admiral, strange transmission coming in on Secure Channel 7. Source? Park asked sharply. Unknown, sir, Kang replied, but it's using a mix of our encryption codes and Proximan communication patterns. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what this might mean, a trap or something worse. Play it, Park ordered. The message was brief. We are not all your enemies. Some Proximans seek peace. Meet our emissary. Coordinates attached. Come alone, or not at all. 2 days. Later, on a heavily guarded base beneath the surface of Mars, Diplomat Kim waited in a special meeting room. Guards with heavy weapons stood at every door. Behind one-way glass, scientists monitored air quality and scanned for weapons or biological threats. The inner door slid open. Kim's breath caught in her throat as a Proximan entered. The alien stood taller than a human, with iridescent scales that shifted colors as it moved. Its 4 eyes blinked independently, taking in the room. When it spoke, a translator device converted its musical tones to human language. I am Emissary Rill of the Proximan Reformation, it said. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Kim kept her face neutral. Why are you here? To offer an alliance, Rill replied. What you call an invasion is actually our civil war spilling beyond our borders. Over the next hour, Rill explained, the Proximan civilization had split into 2 factions. The Supremacy believed in expanding their empire by conquering lesser species. The Reformation opposed this view, but had been losing ground for decades. The Supremacy controlled all contact with other worlds, Rill said. They infiltrated your Galactic Council long ago, manipulating decisions to weaken galactic defenses. Why tell us this now? Kim asked. Because humanity changed everything, Real answered. When you left the council and organized resistance, you became their greatest threat, and our greatest hope. Initial trust was fragile. Admiral Park agreed to limited information sharing while watching carefully for deception. The Reformation provided intelligence about Proximan fleet movements and command structures. In return, the Coalition shared Dr. Yoon's findings about Proximan communication technology. 3 weeks later, Captain Han's ship returned from a dangerous mission with proof that Real had told the truth. They had recorded a battle between Proximan ships, supremacy forces attacking vessels with Reformation markings. They're really fighting each other, Han told Admiral Park. And the Reformation ships protected a human colony when they thought we weren't watching. This changed the war. With Reformation help, Coalition forces began winning more battles. They liberated occupied worlds and pushed back the supremacy fleets. For the first time, victory seemed possible. Then disaster struck. Massive Proximan fleet detected heading for Sol system. Officer Rim's voice carried across the command center. At least 300 vessels. Largest force we've ever seen. Park studied the data grimly. They're making a direct push for Earth. They want to cut off the head of the Coalition. Earth's orbital defenses engaged the Supremacy Fleet first. The battle was visible from the planet's surface. Flashes of light. As ships exploded, debris burning in the atmosphere. On the ground, Kim coordinated evacuation efforts. Get as many people to the underground shelters as possible, she ordered. Priority to children and medical personnel. Coalition forces rushed to defend Earth, but many were too far away. The Supremacy had timed their attack perfectly, catching the human homeworld when its forces were spread thin. The battle raged for 3 days. Earth's defenses crumbled one by one. Supremacy dropships began landing in remote areas. The situation grew desperate. In the last defensive line near Luna, Earth's moon, Admiral Park's command ship took heavy damage. Systems failed across the Beer vessel. Park ordered the crew to evacuate while he stayed behind to coordinate the remaining forces. We cannot lose Earth, he told Kim over a breaking connection. No matter the cost. As Supremacy ships closed in for the kill, space suddenly lit up with new energy signatures. A fleet appeared from lightspeed jump. Reformation vessels, hundreds of them, more than anyone had expected. They hit the Supremacy forces from behind, their weapons targeting command ships with deadly precision. The sudden attack threw the Supremacy into confusion. All Coalition forces advance now, Park ordered. This is our chance. The battle turned. Caught between Coalition and Reformation forces, the Supremacy fleet began to break apart. Individual ships tried to escape only to be hunted down. In the command center on Luna, Kim watched with relief as Proximan signals retreated from Earth orbit. A message came through from emissary Real. The Reformation High Council has officially declared alliance with Earth and the Coalition, Real said. Today we stand together. Tomorrow we take the fight to the Supremacy's home systems. The Battle of Sol, as it would become known, marked the turning point of the war. Earth had nearly fallen, but instead emerged as the center of the strongest alliance the galaxy had ever known. As rescue teams searched the wreckage of destroyed ships, they found Admiral Park's escape pod. He had survived, though badly injured. His first question upon waking was simple. Did we hold? We did more than hold, Kim told him. We won. 2 years after the Battle of Sol, diplomat Kim stood in the newly built Unity Dome in New Geneva. Through its clear roof, she could see workers in spacesuits fixing damaged buildings. Earth had survived the war, but it would never look the same again. The room was filled with beings from over 200 worlds. Former council members sat next to species who had never joined the old system. In a special section, a group of Proximans from the Reformation faction waited quietly. Their scales shimmered in the sunlight streaming through the dome. Admiral Park walked slowly to the speaker's platform. His injuries from the final battle had healed, but he still moved carefully. The room fell silent as he reached the center. 2 years ago, we faced extinction, Park began. The Proximan supremacy nearly destroyed Earth. they would have moved. On to each of your worlds next. He paused, looking around the room. But we stood together. Humans, Arcturians, Lumidians, and yes, even Proximans of the Reformation. Together, we did what the old council said was impossible. We won peace through strength and unity of purpose. On screens around the room, images appeared of the final battles of the war. After the victory at Earth, coalition forces had pushed into supremacy territory. With help from the Reformation, they had targeted the supremacy's main bases and command centers. The war had ended just 3 months ago with the surrender of the last supremacy fleet. Today we create something new, Park continued. Not a council that talks while worlds burn, not an empire that rules through fear. Instead, a cooperative of equals, committed to mutual defense and shared prosperity. Kim watched as representatives from each world stood to vote on the charter of the Galactic Cooperative. One by one, they pressed their hands, or tentacles, or appendages, to glowing panels. The vote was unanimous. Later at the celebration, Kim found herself standing next to Emissary Ryle of the Proximan Reformation. Your people surprise me constantly, Ryle said, watching humans and aliens mingling freely. Any other species would have demanded revenge against all Proximans after what the supremacy did. We understand the difference between an enemy and a people, Kim replied. Humans have fought our own civil wars. We know that no species is all good or all bad. The supremacy believed your withdrawal from the council would weaken the galaxy, Ryle observed. Instead, it made everything stronger. Sometimes you have to break a bad system to build a better one, Kim said. Across the room, Admiral Park was speaking with representatives from worlds that had once dismissed humanity as dangerous and primitive. Now they listened carefully to every word he said. Dr. Yoon entered the hall, accompanied by scientists from 7 different species. Her work on Proximan technology had expanded to include research on how different species' minds worked. This understanding was helping build trust in the new cooperative. The research teams have made a breakthrough, Yoon told Kim excitedly. We found a way to modify the Proximan communication technology to create universal translators that work for all known species. No more misunderstandings due to poor translations. This was just one of many projects underway. Throughout the galaxy, joint teams were rebuilding damaged worlds, creating new defensive systems and establishing trade routes that benefited everyone. Captain Han, now Commander Han, approached with Officer Rim. Both wore new uniforms with the cooperative insignia, a spiral galaxy with a shield. The patrol fleet is ready, Han reported to Admiral Park. 20 ships from 15 different worlds, all using the new combined technology. They'll guard the former border regions. Park nodded approvingly. And the training program? Going well, Rim answered. Species are sharing their unique tactics and abilities. The Chitauri are teaching their navigation skills. Humans are teaching adaptive strategy. The Arcturians are sharing shield technology. This exchange of knowledge was perhaps the most important change from the old council days. Under the council, species had guarded their secrets jealously. In the cooperative, sharing made everyone stronger. As evening fell, Kim walked to a quiet balcony overlooking the rebuilt city. So much had changed since that day in the council chamber when humanity had chosen to stand alone. Park joined her, looking at the stars now appearing in the darkening sky. They're voting tomorrow on the leadership structure, he said. Many worlds want you to serve as the first High Representative. Kim looked surprised. Me? But I was the one who helped pull Earth out of the council. Exactly, Park replied with a small smile. You weren't afraid to leave a failing system behind. That's why they trust you to build something better. Below them in the streets of New Geneva, humans walked alongside beings from dozens of worlds. Children who had hidden in bunkers during the war now played with young aliens, learning each other's games. We lost so much, Kim said softly. But look at what we've gained. Where the old council had maintained a fragile peace through compromise and inaction, the cooperative promised something stronger. Unity with respect for differences. Peace, protected by readiness for war. cooperation built on honest recognition of each species' strengths and weaknesses. When humanity had left the Galactic Council, the universe had indeed been thrown into chaos. But from that chaos, a new and better order had emerged.